today, we are very honored and glad to actually invite two fellows from One Mic Stand. Okay, so we have Tali and Ash with us today, and today we are going to find out more about One Mic Stand. So maybe before I begin, could we ask, Ash and Tali, what is One Mic Stand?
But we want to thank you first for having us here. It's a
Yeah.
pleasure.
No problem.
It's our pleasure to be on your podcast.
Yeah.
Because we
For once, to be in someone else's podcast.
Yeah.
So One Mic Stand. The idea for One Mic Stand, you mean the name, correct? So it's a play of one night stand.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Now you know.
Okay.
So, but it's one night stand. It's just a one night kind of thing. But for us, it's a continuation. So instead of night, it's a mic, which is usually used for podcasts. Always used for podcasts.
Right.
So it's a play of words. So that's why we came up with One Mic Stand.
Yeah.
Yep.
But what's the difference between One Mic Stand as compared to other podcasts? Because we know that especially during this period like pandemic, everybody's jumping into like podcasts. So what's the difference between yours versus the rest of the podcasts that we have?
Maybe not so much of verses, but we want to, have a variety of things that we think about, and then after we want to put it on, not on air, but on at least, a platform.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there's a lot that's not being said out there. So that's why we have our own ideas. Everyone has their own ideas, and I think that we just want to get our message across. But obviously, there are many, many interesting podcasts out there. Yeah.
Like the one that you mentioned recently?
Yeah, but I kind of forget the name, so we don't want to promote them also. The idea is to promote One Mic Stand.
Yep, and basically just to let our listeners, because we don't have video, we're only on audio, to let our listeners have an idea of probably the things that they don't know about, the people that they've not met, the people that they've not heard. So it's just a platform to let our grievances out in a way.
Like what Tali mentions about introducing to our listeners people that they never thought exist.
Yeah.
Or the professions that they're doing exist.
Yeah.
Who are the kind of people? Because I believe there will be a certain kind of like profile of people visiting your podcast. Yeah, it's quite different. Yeah, so maybe could you share a little bit who are the visitors?
So like I mentioned, so it's a diverse kind of people. I mean, we didn't know that clown is a profession in Singapore, that a professional profession in Singapore. I didn't know that there is a snake charmer, a licensed snake charmer in Singapore. So those kind of things.
Yeah.
Those kind of people.
The target audience, we're pretty much having this question asked so many times. Who is your target audience? When we talk to our friends and things like that, who's
Did you
your
manage
target?
to find out?
No.
We are still finding out.
I see that coming.
Yeah, and basically, I see the demographics. Unfortunately, it's people around our age, but people around the range of 35 to 45 also are the ones who's neither here nor there. They've listened to quite a bit of this, but they've probably not had a content of that. The ones that are the younger ones will probably look for something else, and the older ones don't even know what podcast is in the first place, right? Probably about the 60 years old and things like that. They're not even, it's something new to them. No offense to them, but the thing is, if it's introduced to them, fantastic, man. But these are the people from the radio era. And if we have that, people of our demographics who can actually tell, hey, have you heard of this? Or tell the younger ones, hey, these guys are pretty okay, Or not only us, someone who actually does that and attracts that kind of demographic. So yeah, it's basically we want to be as neutral as possible to a wider target audience. But at the end of the day, from what we see, 30 to 45.
I'm actually out of the range.
Oh,
So
you
I
are?
do visit your podcast.
fantastic.
I think both of us are out of the
Super
range.
happy that you are. Yeah, we're 18 actually.
All right. Because
So how do you find it?
Yeah, I'll talk
So
about
here comes the
my favorite
podcast. Here comes the podcast in us, coming to you.
Yeah, I actually particularly like the one, the ghost hunting one. I know
Oh,
recently you also have something ghost
Noel.
hunting.
Mr. Noel Boy.
Yeah,
Noel
boy,
Boy. Yeah, so the recent one is also something related to ghost hunting, but
Yeah.
because it's in Malay,
it's
so I don't
Malaysian,
understand. Yeah. So I particularly like that.
You like Noel, huh?
So
You see, that's another interesting profession that no one knows. He actually made a living out of this paranormal activity thingy. These things don't exist in, maybe I say Singapore because there are people who do it in Malaysia. And it's something which is common in US. But who knows? There's someone who actually had like 100,000 views, probably about 500,000 views on YouTube for some of his videos. And he's now currently with MediaCorp, and they're gonna do some serial thing. Yeah.
And also, I mean, when we have guests on our podcast, but we don't only talk about their profession, we also delve into sometimes more personal life. Like, for example, we have Gilbert, who is a politician, but he does other things besides that. I mean, charity works, which I think some people might not know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just want to get to the other side of a personality, besides the thing that people know him for.
So if I ask that the question, which podcast is actually your favorite?
Well, it's people who conduct and do podcasts, right? It's very hard to say which one is my favorite. For me personally, I don't know about Ashraf.
I mean, every podcast is good.
Yeah.
But
What we want to do is want to improve as we go on episode to episode. And sometimes when we hear our earlier podcast, we find that it's a bit cringy. And then we move on to where we are right now, which is, I think it's okay. We garnered so much more listeners than what we used to have. And well, there are many interesting podcasts out there, and the content that we have is no different. The people that we find, the things that they do is so intriguing. Like he said, the snake charmer. And the blast that we had with him in the podcast was super interesting. And then we had, this Die Hard fan Singapore. There's this group of people who goes to every Singapore football team's match.
The one you haven't released?
No, we've not released that. And that's
So
an
that's a
interesting
preview.
personality.
coming
also.
soon, akan datang.
And we had musicians, and we had like politicians. Gilbert Cole. He spoke to us about his philanthropist work. We had people who had depression, and we want to, the listeners will be encouraged to,
Not just depression, suicidal.
to the lowest of the lowest points of their lives.
How they bounce back.
And how they bounce back. We have a professional clown, and who else do we have? We have artists, MediaCorp artists, we have chefs, and we have people who speak about the pandemic, how to go about with your businesses and things like that when you guys were on board at that time. So I don't have any particular one, but I kind of feel that we are improving as we go along.
So different podcasts seems to have like different profile So which makes it unique, as compared to the rest. You really get to know people from different parts of their life, stuff like that.
And like what Tali mentioned also, it makes us improve on our podcast, because I think the first few podcasts that we did, it was more like an interview. And as we go along, and we found out that I think we should do it more like a conversation. Like
We
coffee shop.
forgot about Juvina. We did Juvina, and she's super interesting, man. She's traveled the world in 27 months and going to so many places and doing humanitarian work while she's there, and she's alone on a scooter. It's such an intriguing experience. So,
And it inspired us also. I mean, when we had Snake Charmer, it inspired me to become a snake charmer.
So
he actually bought a flute already. Really?
So we hope to able to see Ash in any of the video being a snake charmer.
Yeah, I will play the flute, don't worry.
So who will be the snake? Who will be the charmer?
I've been the snake. Do you remember that?
He has been a snake charmer.
I became the snake in that Snake Charmers promo. And he was playing the flute and I was going like that. So I'm used to being a snake. So Why not?
Guys, conniving.
Slithering snake.
So I mean, yeah, I hope to see you in another career. But
Okay.
maybe let's not talk about One Might Stand for a while.
Yeah.
Just talk about yourself. Yeah, could you give an introduction about yourself as well as what are you working as on top of like One Might Stand?
I used to be a rock star.
So you still is?
No, I'm just kidding. I inspired to be a rock star, but
You wrote a guitar review, right?
yeah, I was playing downstairs. Only got 25 cents or whatever. Okay, I'm doing graphic design. I'm an art director in a company. Yep, in a publishing and events company. So besides One Night Stand, that's my full-time job.
So I believe all the graphic images for the podcast is actually from you.
Yeah. I mean, we share the ideas and
Nah, that's fine.
I try to come up.
It's all from me. Just being politically correct.
What about you, Tali? What are you doing? Let me interview him now.
Nothing. I'm a bum. I'm actually
Slithering around.
no, I'm actually banking all my hopes on this one. If it fails, it fails. No, my full-time job is boring. I have an alternative ego here. I have an alternative personality here in One Mic Stand. What I do is basically I am working for a freight forwarding company. Yeah, so it's okay when you look at the geographics of it, but it's a technical job, it's a dry thing, and therefore the alter ego steps in when we're having that podcast.
And he has an alter ego name also.
Yeah, name is
What's that?
always putting me in the spot. Especially in podcast.
Yeah, well, that's the industry that is like quite lucrative right now.
Really?
Online sales? No?
Okay, I mean it's generally a big industry, and well, like any other industry, it's a dog eat dog world. Especially in times like this, you got to be a bit more creative. You got to look for a niche. You got to look for resources, and the industry is not doing well. But company survives on the niche that they do.
It's good to hear. So we will be expecting more podcasts if the company is not doing well.
Well, I mean, we always make time, whether it does or it doesn't. We come here religiously, like going to church every Sunday.
I mean, if his profession fails, he will be on the podcast and I will interview him.
No, but we try to make at least 2 recordings a week.
Mhm.
We try our level best to actually come on a day that our guests are available, and we actually make the effort to come all the way to the studio.
When do you usually release your podcast? And where can maybe our audience over here can find it?
Well, we
We try to release it every week religiously on Friday. But because of work and so it's still released every week, one podcast a week, like just the days differ.
Yeah.
And you can find it on.
We have a Facebook page, we have an Instagram page, and we have a Spotify page, which is on One Mic Stand on all these platforms. We also have it on Apple Podcasts.
And it's ONE_MICKEY MICSTAND.
Yeah.
So for those people who want to be interviewed and to be part of your podcast, how can they find you?
You can apply.
You can download the form with a processing fee of $50. No, I mean you can just contact us. We will go looking for them.
Yeah, we will, man. We find the people that we want, and we're kind of like picky about it because we want the offbeat people. We want something which is out of the norm. So as the more offbeat you are, the better it is.
I mean, if some of the listeners have some context they want to share with us, why not?
Yeah. Most welcome. You can give a shout out to them also.
I hope everybody hear the shout out.
Yeah, loud one. Across the continent.
You can make a cheer about it also.
Okay. So, but why podcast? Because you are a full-time art director. You are actually running a logistic company.
Yeah.
But why podcast?
I'm not into podcasts. I wasn't into podcasts. So this good friend of mine over here called me one day in the early week of July.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, hey, do you want to do podcasts? I said, okay, why not? Let's give it a try.
Yeah.
So I said, when? And he said, next week, let's do it. So yeah, that's how it started. So it was within a week that we came up with all these things.
Get all the equipment,
Mhm.
kickstart everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's
And now we are into it. I mean, I wasn't into podcasts or listening to podcasts, but now I am. Comes with the job, I guess.
Paying quite well.
Yeah, they pay me quite well also.
Yeah.
so why did you thought of one mic stand having this podcast? Is it because you were planning to switch your career?
Yeah, I told you I was banking on it. Right? Make or break, man.
But I think we can do better than other podcasts.
I think.
Mhm.
Why? Why do podcasts? It's because I think there's things that I want to talk about. I think there's things that he wants to talk about. I think we hear the norm, and I think we can find the other side of it. And I want to create awareness amongst people. To be honest with you, I just want people to know that the things that I mentioned earlier. Look, you have to broaden your horizon. We talk to travelers, we talk to people like that, and then after this, hoping that it will inspire people in a way, hoping that it will educate people in a way, hoping that it will make people do something which they are planning to, and hoping to make people not do something which they, based on the current situation that they're in. So I think that we can give back, and I've traveled quite extensively in my life, and he's got the music background that he had, and the experiences that we had, probably midlife crisis, and therefore,
Cool.
yeah, probably
Okay.
yeah. So, especially travel, I just want people to travel more with minimal budget. And it can be done, it's proven that it's been done, because our society, right, people in Singapore, we travel, yes, as tourists. I want people to travel as travelers. I want people to travel as backpackers and go for a longer period of time, not go to the usual places that they go to,
The offbeat
the offbeat places. And that's the concept of the podcast. It's an offbeat podcast.
I think you did one before, right?
Yeah, I
A
traveled
long
kind of
trip.
like for a year, yeah,
My travels are all to Johor.
to eat seafood.
Yeah.
So he brought you to Johor.
No, I brought myself to Johor.
Run to Johor.
Alright. So does what people hear from the One Night Stand podcast reflect what you are actually, the personality, the way
That's a
you
good
behave?
question. Basically, like what Talib say, when we are on the podcast, it's a different personality. I mean, I don't joke a lot, but on the podcast, I joke a lot. Yeah. And yeah, just it brings out a different me on the podcast.
I don't curse a lot, but in the podcast apparently I do. Angry, man. Angry most of the time. No, but
Do you agree, Ash?
He's always vulgar, so I'm used to it.
no, it's just an alter ego, and we play along. It's not about us. Honestly, it's not about us. It's about the person,
Creating joy.
the person that comes on our podcast, and we just want to bring that content out of him. We just want to bring that content out of him or her. We just want to bring that things that she or he doesn't want to talk about.
That people
But
doesn't know about them.
we coax it out of him. We massage the subject out of him. We bring them to a place that they might or might not want to go, which is our leading direction. Yeah.
So what is the most difficult things that you actually encounter, or in terms of running podcasts, based on your experience within these few months? What is actually the most difficult things to do that you need to do for the podcast?
For me, it's editing the podcast.
Yeah.
Because, I mean,
I know there's his thing.
it's, I mean, I'm holding a full-time job. It's more like a hobby kind of thing. Hopefully it makes money. So we work 5 days a week, sometimes weekend also we got some stuff to do, and it's just finding that small little space or small little time
Small little 5 hours to edit.
to edit, to make the
5 hours.
podcast
It's very long.
sounds good and try to add some sound effects. If you listen to the Noel podcast, now we add some certain sound effects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Regular video snippets also, like so that people have a sneak preview before they actually listen to it. So we're gonna have that. Yeah.
5
Video
hours
snippets.
is very long.
Yeah.
No, he's just
It's like
exaggerating.
almost one.
No, he's exaggerating. It's not 5 hours, right? It's more like 7.
But yeah, I've seen the editing, man. It's crazy, and we're just trying to do it like in a minimalist form of in a minimalist way. But apparently, he's so much of a perfectionist that the lines, man, it takes a lot of effort to balance out the sounds. Yeah, and I hope you people actually appreciate it. You listeners, you better appreciate it, man.
Right, but how about you, Tali? What is the most difficult task?
No, he doesn't
Unless
have.
you don't do
I just
anything.
order only. I don't know anything.
You just stop. That's it.
Yeah. Find the guests, I talk, and I try to let more people hear how to think about things. I have a lot of things in my head which I think about, but I just go with the flow. I just empathize with this guy.
I mean, we share the responsibility. I mean, if I'm busy, I can come up with questions for the
Yeah,
podcast. So he will come up with questions, and I will just add in here and there.
Yeah, since we are talking about future, where do you see this podcast going? One might say.
So we know where, man. It's heading for the dumps from what I see.
I don't think we will stop what we are doing. I mean, there's a lot of interesting people out there that's yet to be discovered, to be on our podcast, to share their stories. So, yeah, we will keep going until we reach the top.
Oh, really? Yeah?
So-
We're planning for that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I think for Australia.
Good.
Mm.
This kind of mindset.
How do you define top? Is it more listener or?
More listener and make more money. No, I'm sorry, start making money. Yep.
I think that it's as we go along, we just want to bring forth to more listeners, more awareness, those kind of things, and we want to get more people who has a story to tell.
And it instills, for me, it makes my confidence more by talking to people, for example, actors and politicians. So it instills more confidence in me. So, when we first started out, I was more reserved in asking questions and, making jokes. So now it's more natural.
It's a tough job. See.
It's okay now. It's getting better now. Yeah, we're kind of free flow. So we just bring the best out of the other party. You see, the thing about podcast is, right, if we do a bad job, people will just tell you in your face, man, you guys are just terrible. You did a bad job. You should have done that. It's so boring, that kind of stuff. But if you bring the best out of your guests, nobody will praise us, and we don't want that praise. People will always tell you, hey, this person is so interesting, huh? She or he actually he said, it's so nice, man. He's so similar. That's not him. It's us.
We bring the best out of them.
We brought them to the places that we want them to go without even the viewers realizing it. But it's fine. Anyways, we're not on record. So let them take the credit. It's okay, no problem.
No, we will actually post this out.
Oh,
We had unsung
edit
heroes.
that out.
But what is the most, the comment that actually left the deepest impression in your mind? You talk about, comments that you actually received from your audience, things like that. Or from the guests.
They found me good looking. Oh, sorry, it's audio, no video, sorry. By my voice, I don't think there's much, I guess, but we have good reviews from the upcoming podcast with Solo and Bush. So from the comments I've read, I mean, the listeners say that it was a good podcast, it was an interesting podcast, good questions, and they thought that we are from Spotify and not from Extend.
Yeah, there was some of the listeners think that
Team Spotify.
Team Spotify. Like, what? Who's Team Spotify, man?
Yeah.
And we have people who tell us that we've improved a lot since day one.
And I have people telling me that he sounds like a DJ.
Yeah, I've heard that one
On
also.
podcast.
Actually, I was asking about bad comments.
Right, you guys suck, you losers. We're gonna freaking kill you. We've sent, we're gonna arson your house. Things like that, yeah, that's quite common with us. Yeah.
I mean, people tried to have a class lawsuit on us also.
Yeah.
So maybe one day we will see you on this paper because of this.
Nobody reads newspaper anymore. These people.
Bad publicity is still good publicity.
That's right.
Yep.
We've come to the end of the interview. Thank you very much for being with us, Ash
Thank you.
and Tali.
So pleasure.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
So if you're interested to find out more about interesting stories from their podcast, you can visit.
Our Facebook page, which is One Mic Stand. You can also visit our Instagram, which is of the same title, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts.
That's ONE_MICSTAND.
Yeah. So that's one.
Mic
Stand.
Thank you for watching. If you would like to have more of this, feel free to check out at exprenia.com.